Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello everyone, welcome to this 8th lecture of Mineralogy series, and in this lecture we will continue our lecture where we stopped in the 7th lecture. And in the last lecture we were trying to understand that when we have two solid which are not miscible, for example diopside and anorthite, and these two solids are not miscible but liquid is miscible. So, we were using an equation that is your diopside in liquid is your del H m by R 1 by T m minus 1 by T. So, basically your liquid will have a impure and it will have a some component of your diopside and anorthite, and this will be always less than 1. Okay. So, in this phase diagram we understand that when we have a equilibrium crystallization. So, we started with a L0 composition at high temperature, and in this L0 composition you have a 75% of diopside component and 25% of your anorthite component. It is a single liquid phase, but it has a some proportion of diopside and some proportion of anorthite. So, we can calculate that, and when we decrease the temperature and when we draw the isotherm. So, at suppose this T1 temperature and at T2 temperature and at T3 temperature, we saw that our liquid composition is getting richer in anorthite composition. So, if you see the how your this liquid path is moving when you decrease the temperature. So, your liquid is moving in this direction when you are going from T1 to T3. Okay. So, your liquid is moving from here to here, okay, and it is becoming more and more anorthite rich. Okay. At the same time, when you see how the solid is progressing when the you start to crystallize your liquid. So, initially at T1 temperature your solid has a S1 composition, and once you started to produce once your liquid started to precipitate the anorthite, your solid composition will not stay in the vertical line. So, it will move towards or along the this horizontal line along the eutectic temperature. Okay. So, initially your solid composition means the proportion of solid is changing, composition will be always same when you move from S1 to S3. Okay. But what will happen when you reach at S3 and you started to your melt is started to precipitate your anorthite, you are no longer stay in this vertical line, but you will move along this horizontal line, and your S4 composition will be this, and finally, your composition, the last drop of liquid will exhausted when your solid composition will be exactly the same of your original melt composition, that is a S5 has a exactly composition of L0. Okay. So, in this way our solid and liquid will progress, and if you see the proportion of your solid and liquid, you can easily calculate, and when you decrease the temperature your solid proportion is increasing. So, basically the proportion of melt will be same up to S3. Okay. You will always have a M proportion of melt, but because you are generating more solid in this different temperature, when you go from higher temperature to the lower temperature, your N is always increasing. Here is almost at T1 temperature you have a 0% of solid, but proportion, and when you are at T2 your solid proportion is increased, and when you reach at T3 your solid proportion is even more. So, basically you are increasing the proportion of solid. So, because of that the fraction of liquid is decreasing and fraction of solid is fraction of liquid is decreasing and fraction of solid is increasing, and the proportion or fraction of solid can be calculated by your n divided by m plus n, and this is from the lever rule, and the proportion of liquid can be calculated m divided by m plus n. So, total length of that line, horizontal line, that is your isothermal line. So, this is the way our if our composition is your L0. Okay. Now, we take another example in which we have a composition which is in the anorthite side. So, when your liquid has a composition in the primary field of right hand side of the eutectic, so what will happen? So, basically when we have suppose this new L composition, liquid composition L0, when we have this composition. So, when we have this L0 composition, so what will happen when we decrease the temperature, okay, and once the liquid will hit the liquidus curve at this point. So, what will happen? Anorthite will be the first phase that will precipitate from the liquid, because now we are in the primary phase field of anorthite. So, liquid will produce your anorthite, and at this point if you draw the isotherm, so you can calculate the proportion of solid in this particular temperature, suppose T1, and what would be the proportion of liquid. And basically at this point, because you have a tiny amount of embroil of crystal this anorthite, so only 1 or 2 crystal of anorthite will be precipitated from the liquid. So, your proportion of solid will be almost 0 and 100% liquid will be formed at this particular temperature. But when you decrease the temperature more, so what will happen, that when you decrease the temperature and you draw the horizontal line, isotherm line. So, at this T2, your this solid 2 composition will have this proportion, that is your N, and this proportion will be your liquid, and liquid composition will be your close to diopside 52 and anorthite 48. Okay. So, in this way we can basically understand how the reaction will takes place, or how the equilibrium crystallization will takes place in Earth's interior. Okay. Suppose if we take a third composition, and that composition is exactly, the liquid composition is exactly at the position of your eutectic. So, in that case what will happen, when you take this L0 composition, which is exactly at the top of the eutectic composition. So, what will happen, that this eutectic composition, you have a diopside 58 and anorthite 42 composition. This eutectic melt composition has a diopside 48 and anorthite 42 composition. So, when you hit the solidus, your liquid will simultaneously precipitate anorthite and diopside in a same proportion, that is 58% will be your diopside and 42% will be your anorthite. So, basically this phase diagram, you have a 3 part. In one part you will have where your liquid composition is in the left hand side of the eutectic, and when you decrease the temperature, so basically you first produce a diopside, then you precipitate co-precipitate diopside and anorthite when you are in the this composition in the left hand side of the eutectic. When you are in the right hand side of the eutectic, first you precipitate anorthite and then you co-precipitate anorthite plus diopside. And when you are exactly at the top of the eutectic point, so when you try to crystallize your liquid, so you simultaneously precipitate diopside plus anorthite, and proportion will be exactly the same as the proportion of diopside and anorthite is present in your liquid. So, this is the liquid of equilibrium crystallization of different liquid in this diopside and anorthite. So, if we have a fractional crystallization, suppose if we have a fractional crystallization. So, to understand the fractional crystallization, what we will do, suppose if I redraw this one, we have a diopside at one end, anorthite at one end, and we have a diopside plus liquid, we have anorthite plus liquid, and then we have a diopside plus anorthite, and this is your eutectic composition. So, when we have a fractional crystallization and when we take a suppose liquid L0, so fractional crystallization means that your crystal is always fractionating. Okay? In case of your equilibrium crystallization, your liquid and your solid is always in a physical contact, but in fractional crystallization, what will happen, once your crystal is formed from the liquid, it will immediately fractionate, it will remove. Why it will remove? Because your solid will have either a higher density or a lower density compared to the melt. So, it will not stay and not will in equilibrium with your liquid. So, your solid will be always go away from the liquid. So, suppose if we have this L0 composition, and when we started to decrease the temperature, once you started to precipitate a diopside, because we are in the diopside primary phase field of diopside. So, once we decrease the temperature, what will happen, that we will started to form loss of diopside, and we know that diopside density, if you remember the diopside density of diopside is close to 3.3 gram per centimeter cube, and it is always higher density, denser than the melt. So, in that case what will happen, that in case of your fractional crystallization, what will happen, that first you will have a layer of diopside, because your diopside will have a higher density. So, you basically form loss of this diopside crystal that will settle at the base of the magma chamber, and then at the top you will either, so this will be your diopside rich layer, and you know that if a rock is mostly made up of diopside, that is a clinopyroxene. So, that rock is called as a clinopyroxenite. Okay. And at the top of clinopyroxene, because our melt will move in this direction, move along this direction, because we are decreasing the temperature and we are extracting the diopside. So, basically your liquid will move in this direction, and temperature, we are decreasing the temperature. So, basically your liquid will move along the liquidus curve. So, what will happen, that finally at eutectic, when you decrease the temperature, you will have a new liquid composition, and then you start to melt this liquid composition. So, you start to decrease this liquid composition. So, you will again form some layer of diopside and diopside rich layer. So, you separate the diopside rich layer with the liquid, and liquid will be close to your gabbro or basaltic composition. So, basically in this situation, when your liquid is in the left hand side of the eutectic, so you have a bottom diopside rich layer, and at the top you have some gabbro. So, you have some gabbroic layer or basaltic layer. Okay. So, basically you have this kind of layer, and in this kind of layer the texture in this kind of layer is basically in clinopyroxene will be cumulates. So, you have a texture which is called as a cumulates, because it will cumulate, the large crystal of clinopyroxene will settle at the bottom of the magma chamber. So, basically you have a top layer of your gabbro or basalt, and below that you have a cumulate texture of your clinopyroxene. So, in case of fractional crystallization this will happen. If your liquid is in this side of the eutectic, so because you are in the primary phase field of anorthite, so when you are primary phase field of the anorthite and you are started to crystallize or precipitate your anorthite will also separate from the your liquid, and what will happen, the new liquid will again decrease the temperature and it will again form some anorthite, and this anorthite will again remove from the system. So, basically when you remove the anorthite, and anorthite, if you see the density of your anorthite, density of anorthite is close to 2.7 or 2.8 gram per centimeter cube, and it is lighter than the melt. So, what will happen, it will float at the top of the magma chamber. So, basically you will have one anorthite rich layer that is made up of mostly mostly made up of a plagioclase feldspar. So, when you have a rock which is mostly made up of a anorthite, so the rock is called as a anorthosite. So, anorthosite is a rock which is mostly made up of anorthite, and at the bottom of this you will have a gabbro or basalt. So, from this kind of relation you can understand that in the field, if you have at the bottom clinopyroxenite and at the top you have a gabbro, and so you can immediately understand that your composition, your liquid composition is in the left hand side of the your eutectic, and if you have a anorthosite layer at the top and the bottom is gabbro or basalt, then your liquid is in the right hand side of the eutectic. So, these kind of relations are very useful to interpret what would be the original composition of the liquid or source magma. So, this is about the fractional crystallization. We will talk little bit about the melting of the rock. So, if we have the diopside anorthite system, and in this diopside anorthite system, if our rock composition is, suppose this composition, if we have R0 rock composition, and this rock composition is, it has a diopside 75% and anorthite 25%, means that you have a rock and that rock is mostly made up of diopside and anorthite, and your diopside is 75% present in that rock and 25% is your this your 25% is your anorthite. Okay. So, interesting thing is here is that in the eutectic system, you take any composition, you take this R1 composition which is in the left hand side of the eutectic, or you take another composition R0 composition which is in the right hand side of the eutectic. So, what will happen when we supply heat or energy to the system, okay, when you increase the temperature, this is your temperature. So, when we increase the temperature, you take this R0 composition here or R0 composition is here, your eutectic, the first melt composition will be always the eutectic melt composition, and that is the advantage. So, because of that most of the igneous rock melts at the eutectic temperature. Okay. So, you take R0 composition because this is a reverse of your equilibrium crystallization. So, what will happen that your melt, your liquid composition will have so your liquid composition will have this composition which is close to your eutectic composition, and this liquid composition will coexist with this liquid L1 composition will coexist with your S1 composition, and S1 composition will be somewhere, suppose here, or let us say if it is here. So, this is your S1 composition, and at this S1 composition you have basically your diopside and your anorthite. Okay. We do not know exactly at which point the S1 will exist, but it is very sure that because our bulk composition R0 is here and our liquid composition is somewhere here. So, basically if we mix, so if our S1 composition should be in the left hand side of the R0, because when we mix a solid and liquid you get a intermediate composition, this bulk composition R0. So, it will be somewhere in between the S1 and L1. We know the L1 position because it will be in the eutectic, we do not know where will be the S1. Okay. Let us say if we write down, if suppose S1 is somewhere here. So, this will be your M, that will be the proportion of liquid in this system at this temperature, and this will be your proportion of solid. Okay. So, basically if we, let us say if we draw like this, this is your R0, this is your L1 and this is your S1. Suppose if there is a 10% of melting, when you supply a heat and your 10% of melting is taking place. So, basically your this S1 R0, that is a proportion of your liquid. Okay. So, proportion of liquid is 10%, okay, divided by total, that is a 10 plus this one will be, if this is a 10%. So, the solid proportion will be 90%. So, this will be 100, 10 plus 90 is 100. So, the proportion of liquid will be a 0.1%. Okay. So, basically this will be a very small amount of proportion, and at this point you can basically calculate that how much proportion of diopside and how much proportion of anorthite will be present if you have a 10% of melting. Okay. You further supply the, if you further supply the heat to the system, because your system is closed, and when you further supply the heat to the system, your this solid composition will move in this direction. So, you will have a S2 composition here and you have a new liquid composition, but this new liquid composition will have exactly the eutectic composition, because until you are in this eutectic temperature, until you are in this horizontal line, until you exhaust the phase anorthite from the system, okay, you cannot change the composition of eutectic composition of liquid. Okay. So, basically your L1 and L2 will have exactly the same composition, only when you supply the heat to the system your proportion of your liquid will increase. What does it mean? That initially if your liquid proportion was 0.1, so in the new, in S2 situation, in situation of S2 where you have a L2 is exactly as the eutectic point, and this is your R0 and this is your S2. So, you basically increase the proportion of the melt. Suppose you increase the proportion to 20%, so your solid will be 80%. So, your this liquid proportion will be increased to 0.2. So, basically when you produce a very tiny amount of melt proportion, so that is very characteristic for the mantle, and you basically in this kind of situation, when you supply to the heat to the system, you basically you convert all the heat in the form of latent heat of fusion, and in that case you basically do not change the liquid composition, you just increase the proportion of the melt. Okay. So, very tiny amount of melt. So, then finally what will happen, you will reach at this point, and when you reach at this point you will have another composition L3, which will be exactly the same as your eutectic composition, and at this point you have a S3, and once you reach at S3, the last drop of anorthite or last crystal of anorthite will be exhausted, and once you form your last crystal of anorthite is exhausted, what will happen, that your liquid composition, which was fixed from L1 to L2 to L3, will move along this line, and once you supply the heat to the system, all the heat will go to the system, and you basically will increase the temperature, and then what will happen, that this will be your proportion of liquid and this will be your proportion of solid. So, basically what will happen, that initially you have a very tiny amount of melt, and once you supply the heat to the system, so you increase the degree of melting, and once your phase B is exhausted, so you have only diopside phase which is coexisting with your liquid, and you are basically fixing you basically decrease the proportion of your solid, that is your diopside, and you are basically keeping your proportion of your this liquid. So, once you reach at S3, your proportion of liquid will be M, and after that when you supply the heat on your anorthite is basically exhausted. So, after this when you reach at S4, you basically your liquid proportion of liquid will be the M, the same. So, from S3 to S4 the proportion is same, but when you increase the temperature, you are decreasing the proportion of solid. So, initially you have a large amount of solid, but here you are decreasing the proportion of solid, and then at finally when your liquid, so last drop of solid will be exhausted, that is a last solid diopside will exhausted. When you reach at this point, when your solid composition, your liquid composition will be exactly will be this R0 composition. So, basically in this situation what happens, that here you have a L5 and here you have a S5. So, basically when you start to heat your rock, your rock is solid will move in this direction. Initially your solid S1, S2 and S3 will move along the eutectic temperature. Once your anorthite is exhausted, your solid will move vertically and will move from S4 to S5, and at S5 the last diopside crystal will be exhausted, and in this way you can show that how your solid will change its composition, and liquid will become a more richer in diopside. So, it will richer, initially it will have a 58% of diopside, and once it reach at R0 this temperature, so it's become a richer in diopside component. So, for example, at R0 you have almost a 75% of diopside, here you have a diopside is almost a 58%. So, your liquid composition is becoming more and more diopside rich. So, in case of your melting, in case of your equilibrium melting, you basically you change the solid composition as well as your this liquid composition is also changing. So, this is about the your eutectic binary diagram, and in the eutectic binary diagram, when you have basically diopside and anorthite, which is a immiscible phase, and when you mix and your liquid is a miscible. So basically you have some component of anorthite in your liquid and some component of diopside in liquid. So in this case, how the crystallization and melting will takes place. So we have seen that our liquid is when we try to crystallize, our liquid is becoming more anorthite rich, and your solid composition is initially have a original diopside composition, and at eutectic temperature it started to precipitate anorthite. So these are the some fundamentals about the eutectic phase diagram. We will little bit we will discuss about this eutectic temperature, what kind of texture we are getting. So to understand this, in eutectic composition, what will happen, that at eutectic temperature, you suppose if you go from the you have a very fast cooling. So if slow cooling. So when you have some melt, and that melt is started to crystallize very fast. So what will happen, that because suppose you are in the anorthite side field, so primary phase field of anorthite. So what will happen, that you will crystallize some anorthite grain. So basically you have a plagioclase. So you have some plagioclase, this crystals, okay, that will form, okay, and in this plagioclase crystal, there are some twinning is there. So characteristic for igneous rock. So you have some plagioclase grains, and the nucleation energy of plagioclase is lower than the clinopyroxene. Okay. So only a few plagioclase crystals will form, okay, because it's a nucleation, but growth will be faster. So even you have a very less number of this plagioclase. So basically in this plagioclase, you have a very large plagioclase crystal, and in between you have because nucleation energy of clinopyroxene is higher than the plagioclase crystal. So in this case you have a many this clinopyroxene will diopside crystals will form and nucleate, but it will not get enough time when you have a fast cooling to grow a bigger crystal. So when you have this kind of crystals, so the texture is called as a interserratal texture. So you have this porphyritic texture, okay, where you have a large crystal of your plagioclase lath and it's surrounded by a ground mass, which is either a glass or you have a very tiny crystal of clinopyroxene. Okay. If the cooling is relatively slow, because you decrease the temperature and now this you have a many different clinopyroxenes is already nucleated, and this nucleus will get some time to grow. So basically your this plagioclase feldspar will started to nucleate some clinopyroxene, and so you have a plagioclase feldspar, and these are joined by this point, and then you have a clinopyroxene. So when you have this kind of texture, this is called as a intergranular texture. Then you have a third situation in which, because your proportion of in this when you are at the eutectic temperature, okay. So when you have a much slower cooling, okay, cooling rate is much slower than this situation. So, what will happen that clinopyroxene will get enough time to grow. So, in between your plagioclase grains, you have some big clinopyroxene grains, and when you have this kind of texture, it is called as a sub-ophitic texture. Okay. Then if the cooling is very slow in case of the plutonic rock, so in case of that you have a very large clinopyroxene grain, and in this clinopyroxene grain you have some random distribution of plagioclase these crystals. Okay. So, you have some random distribution of plagioclase crystals, and if you have this kind of texture, this is called as a ophitic texture. So, basically from the texture, not only you can understand you are in what would be your original magma composition, but you can also understand at which environment these different eutectic these textures are forming. Okay. So, if there will be a volcanic rock will have a porphyritic texture, whereas when you have a very slow cooling, in case of plutonic rock you have a ophitic texture. So, from this you can understand about the environment of your this magma. So, this is about the your this phase diagram in the eutectic system. Now, I am going to start a new topic, that is a binary solid solution in two component system. And if we see the cryoscopic equation, so in cryoscopic equation we basically in the first condition we wrote that we have this ln x diopside in liquid divided by x diopside in solid is basically del h m by r 1 minus T m minus 1 by T. Suppose if we replace this in component A and B, so in the first case we consider that x A in solid is a pure phase, that is the 1, okay, and this is will be ln. Sorry. Okay. So, in this situation we consider that your pure phase, this XAS was 1, we consider it is a diopside. So, the mole fraction of diopside in solid was 1, okay, and your mole fraction of diopside in liquid was less than 1, and temperature was always, the equilibrium temperature of the impure phase is always lower than the melting temperature. Now, we take another situation, okay, and in this situation what we will do, we will consider that this your component A in solid is not equal to 1. So, it means that your phase is not pure. Okay. So, when your phase is not pure, what will happen, that if this phase is not pure, so basically your this term will be, so basically you have this term, this ln x A L by x A solid. Okay. So, if this is a impure, so this will be always less than 1. Okay. So, if this will be less than 1, so we will try to get. So, if your temperature if we see the temperature, okay, so at particular temperature what will happen, that we will get a two different values. Okay. So, if this will not equal to this, if not equal to 1, okay, so in that case what will happen, that we will get at particular temperature, we will get a two different values, that is one value for that particular phase in a liquid, that component in a liquid phase and that component in a solid phase. So, if you try to draw your composition versus temperature diagram at isobaric condition, suppose at 1 atmosphere. So, at particular temperature what will happen, you will get a two different value, one value for the solid. So, temperature for at particular temperature you get a composition of your solid phase, sorry, so you get a composition of mole fraction of A in solid, and at the same temperature you get a mole fraction of A in liquid. Okay. So, basically at another temperature, at T2 temperature, you get another composition of mole fraction of composition A in solid, and at the same temperature you get a mole fraction of composition A in liquid. So, basically when you try to construct a diagram, okay, so your diagram is something like this, your phase diagram will construct like this. So, when you get this phase, okay, so when you mix in a different proportion these two components, so what will happen, you get always a solid solution. Okay. So, basically your phase diagram will look like, your phase diagram will look like this. So, we will take some example and we will try to understand that when we have a Fosterite and Fayalite system, so how it behaves. Okay. So, we will try to see the Fosterite and Fayalite system. So, we know that there are many different systems which forms like a solid solution series, and most common one is your Fosterite. Formula of Fosterite is Mg2 SiO4, and Fayalite is your Fe2 SiO4. Okay. And we know that Fosterite melts at higher temperature, and the melting point of Fosterite is 1890 degrees C. This is your, this axis is temperature. So, basically at this point you have a pure Fosterite and this point you have a pure Fayalite. So, at this point this is the melting temperature of your Fayalite, which is a 1205 degrees C. Okay. So, this curve is known as a liquidus curve, and above this liquidus curve we have only liquid, and below, and this lower curve, this one is known as a solidus. So, basically below this you have a olivine which is in a solid solution. So, if you compare with the last phase diagram, in which when you go below the liquidus, below the solidus, you have a two separate solid phase, but here your phase is one, but it have a certain proportion of your Fosterite and Fayalite in that particular phase, and in between these liquidus and solidus you have a olivine solid solution plus liquid. Okay. So, if you take any composition, and let us start with your crystallization of liquid. So, if we take a L0 composition, which is, if we draw a vertical line, let us say this has a phosphorite 75 and firelight 25%. So, this liquid has a some component of phosphorite and some component of firelight. So, when you decrease the temperature and when you strike this liquidus curve, okay. So, at this particular temperature, let us say this is a temperature, and if we draw a horizontal line, it is not very good diagram, but you can follow any textbook, and you can see that if you draw exact perfect horizontal line, it will strike the solidus at this point, and at this solidus, if you draw the vertical line, this will be the composition of your solid 1. So, basically this is your solid 1 which is coexisting with liquid 1, and because your liquid is initially richer in your phosphorite this component, okay, and when you further decrease the temperature, you basically this will be your S2 composition. So, this is your S2 composition, that is a coexisting with your L2 composition. So, this will be your M and this will be your N, and M. So, proportion of liquid will be M divided by M plus N, and proportion of your solid will be your N divided by M plus N. Okay. So, basically when you try to precipitate the liquid from the solid, when you started to precipitate solid from the liquid, so what happens that your liquid composition is rich in phosphorite. So, basically your liquid will move in this direction, and your simultaneously you are decreasing the temperature. So, your liquid composition will move in this direction along your liquidus curve, okay. And from the lever rule you can calculate the proportion of solid and proportion of liquid. So, you further decrease the temperature, okay, and then you increase the amount of your solid and decrease the amount of liquid, and so this is your L3 and this is your S3, and at this particular point when your this last drop of liquid will be exhausted, at this point you will have a 100% of solid and 0% of liquid, when your S4 composition will be exactly, the S4 point will be exactly at the L0 point. So, you at this point you will have a last drop of the liquid will be exhausted, and at this point your proportion of liquid will be almost 0 and proportion of solid will be almost 100. So, this is the situation when you have your melt is crystallizing, okay. If we take a opposite situation, and when you take a opposite situation, what will happen that you take a same R0 rock composition, okay, and it has a 75% of your phosphorite and 25% of ferrite. So, if you So, if you take exactly the rock composition which has a phosphorite 75 and firelite 25 and you heat the rock. So, what will happen that once you hit this point, okay, this curve, you started to produce a liquid, okay, and your liquid composition will be have a this L1 composition and this will be your solid composition. So, at this T1 temperature, at this temperature your solid composition is same as a R0 composition, rock composition, and your liquid composition is, for example, you have a phosphorite say 30 and firelite 70. So, your liquid composition is more phyolite rich and depleted in phosphorite content, but when you further supply the heat, your liquid composition, because your liquid composition has is richer in your phyolite composition. So, your solid composition is becoming more and more in phosphorite composition. So, you basically your solid composition is moving from here to here and liquid composition is moving in this direction. So, basically when you further increase the temperature, you supply more heat to the system, your liquid composition is becoming more and more phosphorite rich, and also your solid composition is becoming more and more phosphorite rich. Okay? And you can calculate the proportion of your liquid and proportion of your solid. So, you see that in this kind of situation, what happens when you further increase the temperature. Okay. So, simultaneously your proportion of your solid is decreasing and proportion of your liquid is increasing. Okay. So, when you increase the temperature, in case of your solid solution series compared to eutectic system, it depends on what kind of composition you are taking. So, suppose if you take a R0 composition which is a phosphorite rich, so your melting will take place as T1, but if you take a R0 composition which is a phyolite rich, so your melting will take place at much lower temperature. Okay. So, in eutectic, whatever composition you take, rock composition you take, your first melt will be always at a same temperature, and that is your eutectic temperature. So, basically when you do your this equilibrium melting in case of solid solution, okay, it depends on the melting temperature depends on what kind of composition you are taking. Okay. And once you increase the temperature, in case of your eutectic melting, once you increase the temperature, your heat is changes to the some kind of thermal barrier was there, and when you supply the heat, your heat is converted to heat of fusion. So, basically your composition was not changing, only the proportion of the melt was changing. Your liquid L1, L2, L3 all will have your this eutectic temperature, but here what you see, when you supply the heat, you basically change the composition from L1 to L3, and all this composition is getting richer in phosphorite component. Okay. And simultaneously you are also changing the proportion of your this solid, so which is a single phase. Okay. And it has some proportion of phosphorite and some proportion of phyolite. So, basically your liquid is, if you see your liquid composition is changing along this line, and this is the last point where when you have a last solid that will be exhausted, when your liquid composition will exactly same as a R0 composition. So, basically your liquid, that is L1, L2 and L4 will move along this line, and your solid, this will have move along this line. Okay. So, basically your composition of the liquid will becoming more and more phosphorite rich, and your solid composition will move also towards the phosphorite rich composition, and the proportion of solid will decrease as you increase the temperature, and proportion of liquid will increase as you increase the temperature. Okay. So, this is the way we understand this solid solution, this binary diagram, and these diagrams are very helpful when we see a different textures in or zonings in the binary system, and in the next lectures we will I will try to explain you that when we have a zoning, how we can interpret that the different zonings can be understood in this kind of binary system. So, if we have a normal zoning, reverse zoning, all these details we will try to understand in the next lecture. So, in the next lecture I will try to complete the solid solution series, and also I will try to complete the X solution texture, which is very useful in mineralogy, and most of the igneous rock has a minerals have a X solution texture, especially when you have a clinopyroxene and other minerals. So, we will try to complete this in the next lecture. So, from the today's lecture we try to understand the how the eutectic compositions are behaving when we have a crystallization of the liquid or the melting of the rock, and we also try to understand the crystallization of a liquid in a binary solid solution and melting of the rock in the binary solid solution. So, I will stop my lecture here, and we will try to understand the solid solution and X solution in the next lecture. Thank you.